Hi there, it's Sandra here from Create in Spain, and I have a little tip for you today. I have here a stamped image which, for example, I want to colour in and I want to put a cut line around it. Well, I don't want to have it stamped in dark colour like black. I want it to be line-free colouring, for example. And so I would stamp it in a much paler colour, but you try to actually scan that in and then make it into a cut file. Not easily going to happen, but there is a little way you can do it. Get yourself some acetate and just fold it over the top, like that, and stick it down with a little bit of tape. Now you notice I have some marks in the corners here. Now these were done on Shortcuts a lot, and I simply printed off some 6 centimetre marks. So basically I drew a square and then I used the eraser to get rid of the lines in between because I didn't actually need them. So now what you can do is get a pen, and you can use a nice black pen and you can put your lines over the acetate. There we go. So, as I said, if I wanted to, I could actually get a thicker pen and colour in the entire line. So now what I'm going to do is put that in my scanner, and then I'm going to put into Shortcuts a lot as a scan and cut. I've got my scanned image, so what I'm going to do now is go into Shortcuts a lot, take that out of there. Right, let's go to View, Fit to Window. I've got something on that page for some reason. Right, so I now want to do a scan to cut, so go to File, find Scan to Cut there, and load my image. So I have my image here, nice and easy. Now you notice that you can see these corners really well, which is great because I know that that is a 6 centimetre square. So I'm just going to lift these red boxes to the outside of those markings, like that. Don't have to be too precise on that, okay? And in here I'm going to put the custom size, which was 6 centimetres by 6 centimetres, and then go to next. And now I have these little crosses that show up. There's a red, a green, a pink and a blue. You can just see it there. Now if you need to, you can zoom in so you can see what you're doing a bit easier. And I need to put these crosses on the corners. So it's pretty easy because you have the horizontal and the vertical axis waiting for you. It's different to putting a dot down. Dots are not quite as useful, not quite as accurate. So can do that. And the last one, top right. Doesn't matter what order you do them in. There we go. So from my point of view, that's looking pretty good, and I can click OK. So I now have the whole item at the correct size scanned into my page. Now the reason this is important is that if you are going to put a cut line on something, you need it to be exactly the right size. You know, a couple of millimeters out can make a big difference. But it hasn't got the cut lines on it yet, so I go to trace it. Take the despeckle off, that help. Okay, now I have my image with a cut line around it. It's also given me the cut lines there, which I don't want, so I'm going to break apart the outlines. No, it doesn't get rid of them at the moment, but I can get rid of them when I've okayed it. So I'm happy with the cut line that I've got there. So here we go, don't want to do anything else to it. And my cut line has shown up on here. So now I want to break this apart, and I want to take away the image itself because I definitely don't want that. And these here, if you look, These are showing as cut lines. I don't want these either. I do want to show the registration marks, however. So I clicked that. But all these bits that it traced on the outside I don't need, but the registration marks are showing up. I've got that clicked, and these are the registration marks, and this is the shape that will be cut out. So if I cut that out directly, it's going to give me the exact size of the lines that I actually drew on there. Now, most of the time I'd probably want to have a bit of an offset. I'm going to remove this bit because it's just confusing. I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to give it a shadow layer, and I'm going to go for a different colour so we can actually see it. So I've got a 0.1 or a 1mm shadow layer on there, and I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to click on the black area and move it out of the way, hopefully. Now I'm going to do this with my keys so that I can move it back if I'm moving the wrong thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I've got the right thing there, so I want to take that away. So this is exactly what I want to cut. So I'm now going to show you what happens when you go to cut it. I'm going to send it to my cutter. I've got my camera on, which is what you can see out there. So I'm going to go to the cutter. I'm going to go for print and cut. Now I've only got it on a pressure of 20, so I'll probably cut it several times. And go to next. I need to move this out of the way somewhere so you can actually see what I'm doing. Round about there will do. Okay, so I need to go to next, and it will go to the top left, and I need to move my laser. Now you may not be able to see the laser on camera, but I can see it, and I move the laser just by moving the keys on my keyboard. Go down a little bit with micro movements, and I think that will do nicely. Go to the next one, and back a bit. That will do nicely. And the next one. Oops. Go down a little bit. And normally this is where you'd start cutting, but this is where we have the 4th registration mark. So here you can see my cutout hummingbird. It's cut out perfectly. It's exactly the size that I wanted it to be. It's cut a perfect image out for me. And I can colour that in as I wish. Now, you might think it's a lot of aggravation to go through to cut out a stamp. Well, if you're just doing one, possibly it is, but you could do a whole page of them. All you need to do is put a larger distance between your marks. So you would have an A4 page, for example, but you take the marks in a little bit, and you would either print or put a pen in your machine to do the marks. And then you could stamp a whole page of images, and you could cut them all out in one go. You can also cut these out for making masks as well, so that's quite a handy feature. As for this, a little bit of rubbing alcohol and it can be reused. So you could have, a whole A4 piece of this, or you could just do it individually. It's up to you. But it's one way of being able to cut out those stamps which are either very fine or ones that you don't want to print in a dark colour or stamp in a dark colour. You could do it in a very, 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 very pale colour and still be able to cut it out. So that's my tip for today. I dare say you can do it in other software as well, but Shortcuts a Lot is the one that I know. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.